Okay. What do we have here? Receive new tips, the demon script. Alright, well, let's go read that. The curtain call. Nice, nice, nice. Hold on. I guess, is it in Omake? Chapter jump. That's just jump to, like... What? What is this? Okay, so this is different. All right, let's go back. Our tournament menu. That's an interesting way to do it. Anyway, okay, we got that last tips and the staff room thing. And I think we're done. Let's see what we got. The 17th year of the Heisei era! Early summer, AD 2005. The car began to rattle as the road turned from asphalt to gravel. The cry of the cicadas seeped through the tightly shut windows. Most people would open their car windows and let the natural air in along with the sounds of the cicadas. People are also spoiled. He'd rather keep himself cool with the air conditioning and turn to Max than listen to the sounds of nature. Okay, so this is Oishi. Usually it was the rainy season at this time of the year, but this June the summer had already come without any rain. Just like how the weather was on that day 20 years ago. The air around this area is just... the air around this area is just as clear as I remember it. Yeah, the winds are as cool and sunshine is bright. This place could have become a World Heritage Site like the village in Gifu. What a waste. But thanks to that, there are no irritating tourists around here. See, that makes it much better. Why do tourists forget about pedestrian traffic laws when they're in rural areas? They walk in the middle of the road, you know? Akasaka-senpai, do you still do stuff outdoors? Oh, okay. Okay, this is a little different. Not as much as I used to. My job doesn't give me much free time. Same here. Oh, hey. There he is. Alright, this is gonna be Oishi. The other man noticed and waved his hand before anyone in the car could honk the horn. Oh, never mind. I'm wrong again. The man was a young fellow on a motorcycle with a big backpack on his shoulders. He looked like he was ready to go camping. Akasaka and his partners, plural, stepped out of the car and shook hands with the young man. Captain, it's good to see you again. Oh, how have you been doing lately? Well, I hope. You can take it easy today. This is Akasaka-senpai. He took care of me back in college. Hello, I have no idea what's going on right now. Hello, my name is Akasaka. Oishi was supposed to come today, but he had to go for a medical checkup at the last minute. Anyway, it's a pleasure to meet you. It's an honor, sir. So, Akasaka-senpai, where shall we go first? His name was Akasaka Mamoru. He was a veteran detective from the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department. Despite the fact that he was close to his retirement, he hadn't lost his clear instinct and sharp eyes at all. Those eyes showed the confidence he'd built through many risky experiences, and he had a well-built, muscular body and a fearless aura. He must have fought against many violent criminals. His connection to Hinamizawa went back almost 30 years, all the way to 1978. He was in the Public Safety Division in the Metropolitan Police Department. He came to Hinamizawa to investigate the kidnapping case of the grandson of Inugai, the then Minister of Construction. There he met Oishi and Furude Rika. Furude Rika predicted her own death. Akasaka regretted for the rest of his life that he couldn't save that little girl from her fate. He saw the news of the great Hinamizawa disaster on TV and met up again with Oishi. They pledged to uncover the mystery of both the cruel fate that fell upon the little girl and the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. Unfortunately, Hinamizawa was sealed off for a long time. As a result, all Akasaka and Oishi could do for the past 20 years was publish the little information they had gathered, and ask for their readers to send their tips and clues. But recently, the seal on Hinamizawa had finally been lifted. However, they couldn't come to Hinamizawa until today due to Akasaka's busy work schedule and Oishi's poor health. In fact, Oishi was supposed to come with Akasaka, but he was called in for an emergency health checkup. The other two who came along were Akasaka's juniors from university. One worked at the ground SDF, and the other was his subordinate. They were assigned the mission of sealing off Hinamizawa, so they were quite knowledgeable about the village. Akasaka took out a scrapbook from his bag. The corners of the scrapbook were all dented, making it look very old. Akasaka flipped through the pages, thought for a second, and let them know his first destination. "All right, please take me to Onigafuchi Swamp." "No problem. Right this way, sir." The young man got on his bike and waited for the others to get back to their car. They honked at each other to signal that they were ready, and the young man led the car to the swamp. Heading through the forest, they came to an open area where the ground was covered by concrete. There wasn't even a single drop of water in sight. All the water of the swamp had been replaced by concrete. That was what Onigafuchi Swamp looked like now. There isn't even a single drop of water, let alone a swamp. I was told that they sealed the swamp right after the disaster. This place was already encased in concrete by the time I arrived here for my mission. Let's go down there and take a closer look. Akasaka got out of the car and walked to the center of the concrete-filled swamp. It wasn't a parking lot or a heliport. It was just a huge, empty concrete space right in the middle of the forest. So this is the place people say was a landing spot for UFOs. Really? I've never heard of that. Well, that's what they write on occult websites. They say that this is the place where our government met with aliens. I can't blame them for such rumors, though, because an empty concrete space in the middle of a forest sure does look weird. Volcanic gas erupted from this swamp in June 1983. A deadly mixture of hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide engulfed and destroyed Hinamizawa in a single night. The village was sealed off and the SDF covered the swamp with concrete. But the people who write those rumors on the internet actually have a point. Any geologist could tell you that covering a source of volcanic gas with concrete is absolutely useless. That's true. I've never heard of anyone trying to prevent a volcano from erupting by pouring concrete into its crater. On the other hand, our country is known for wasteful construction using the taxpayers' money. Lately, people who love things like supernatural phenomena and UFOs write on the internet about the Great Hinamizawa disaster. It's well known by now that the cause of the disaster was an eruption of deadly volcanic gas from a magma chamber. In 1986, a similar natural disaster occurred at Lake Nyos in Cameroon, Africa. So people easily believed that such a rare natural disaster could occur anywhere on Earth, and that was what happened in Hinamizawa as well. However, a rumor about another possible explanation had begun to fly around on the internet recently. They say that the disaster was a cover-up by the government, and that it was actually a biochemical terrorist attack by aliens. Why had such a rumor begun to spread now? They claim to back up their theory with a secret document known as File Number 34. Someone online named it File Number 34 for descriptive purposes, but the name spread and stuck since then because it sounded like a government conspiracy. People loved it. It's unknown how or where they obtained those documents, but they posted scans and pictures which were all ridiculous. Plus, more fake evidence was produced over time, so now Even the existence of such documents are in doubt. File number 34 deserves a bit more explanation. Oh! Fuck, it took me a second. Ah! 34. Haha, I get it. I get it. Haha, I get it. I see what you did there. I see what if you don't get it, it's fine. It's a numbers thing with Yukishi. That one took me a second. Not the other 34. That one is not that one. It is it is When They Cry stuff, not that one. Anyway. However, since it started on the internet, truths and lies were all mixed together, and it has become more like an urban legend. So this is what is believed to be mostly be true. File number 34 was a notebook written by a nurse named Takanomiyo who worked at a local clinic in Hinamizawa. File number 34 was most likely, okay, see, they're explaining it, most likely named after her. This woman was a researcher who studied the demon myth of Hinamizawa and tried to solve what it meant. The contents of this notebook state that she prophesied the great Hinamizawa disaster of 1983. According to her research, a UFO crash-landed in Hinamizawa a long time ago in a galaxy far away and sunk into Onigafuchi Swamp. The UFO carried parasitic bacteria from space, and they began to infect the locals. The infected villagers began to behave extremely violently, so much so that they were fit for the word demon. Takanomiyo insisted that this was the explanation for the myth about demons pouring out of the swamp. An alien who survived the crash realized that the Earthlings had gone crazy because of the bacteria he brought in, and he decided to show himself to the villagers to help them out. This is how Oyashiro-sama was born. The alien was able to cure the villagers with highly advanced technology, but couldn't eradicate the bacteria completely. Since the villagers looked up to the alien as some sort of deity, the alien utilized its status to hand down specific rules to the villagers in order to stabilize the disease. The bacteria took a liking to Hinamizawa's habitat, so when a carrier of the disease left Hinamizawa, their symptoms would reemerge. Therefore, the alien made it a rule not to leave the village. This leads to the legend of the transcendence of Onigafuchi. The weird practices and miracles that the villagers performed were realized by the means of the advanced technology that they received from the alien. Wahahaha! Those maniacs do indeed have a colorful perspective on things, don't they? You remember Nostradamus' prophecies? People said that the world was going to end in 1999, but nothing happened in July, and people acted like they didn't even know about it. Those TV shows made people as scared as they could be, and then they ignored the fact it didn't happen. But Takanomiyo did predict the great Hinamizawa disaster. It's not a lie. Look at this page in this scrapbook. You must be joking. Akasaka-senpai, is this for real? As time passed, the bacteria stabilized in human bodies and became harmless. The alien and the bacteria began to fade away from people's minds. However, the alien has lived on for hundreds of years with the protection of the three families. It still lives on as the spirit of a deity in the secret temple of the Furude Shrine. The alien manipulated the bacteria living inside of the villagers and maintained control over them for hundreds of years. The alien wanted to regain its power and started researching how to bring back the lost powers of the bacteria, etc., etc. Things get much stranger from there. People say that the disaster was actually part of the aliens' plan to conquer the entire Earth by spreading the reawakened bacteria. The Japanese government has a secret division that fights against alien invasions, and they trained in Area 51 in the US, etc., and they moved to stop the invasion by sealing off the entire village, and they killed all of the residents by using toxic gas. Hey, there's a movie that's just like that. Some black guy is a lead character. What was the title? M.I. something? Yeah, I know. It's too crazy to be real. But the writer of this bunch of bull, Takanomiyo, was mysteriously murdered in June 1983, right before her death. She gave this scrapbook to a girl as if she knew she was going to die very soon. That girl is known as Girl A. Some guy who investigated the case was able to track it down to a girl named Higurashi, so now it's known as the Higurashi theory on the internet. Higurashi inherited Takanomiyo's will by means of the scrapbooks. She tried to fight against the planned invasion by holding a school hostage and demanding the local police uncover the aliens' plot. Of course, no one believed her, and they assumed she was in a state of paranoia. Back then, people assumed that Higurashi took Takanomiyo's delusions seriously and was motivated to commit a poorly executed crime. When she held the school hostage, Higurashi told the police that the alien was controlling the three families, and that it was plotting bioterrorism on a massive scale. And the very next day, the Great Hinamizawa disaster occurred. Well, shit! You gotta be kidding! Couldn't it be just a coincidence? I don't know. According to people who believe it's not just a coincidence, there are many inconsistencies in the SDF's immediate sealing off operation. Filling this swamp with concrete is one of the examples. Several of the SDF soldiers on duty at the time testified that some people were conducting secret investigations outside the usual geological survey before the area was closed off. Of course, those who think it's just a coincidence say that the researchers simply took precautionary measures to keep unauthorized people out of the area. Well, I'd have to agree with the latter people. People also question why they sealed off the village for such a long time. After its volcanic gas eruption, Miyake Island was only sealed off for 4 to 5 years. What happened in Hinamizawa was an exceptionally rare natural disaster. It was sealed for over 20 years. I heard that residents of Miyake Island returned to their home island faster than was originally intended because they had requested it so strongly. But in the case of Hinamizawa, there were no residents alive who wished to return in the first place. Perhaps the government took their time until they were absolutely sure that it was safe. How about this one? The SDF members who were on the mission to seal off Hinamizawa had their blood samples taken periodically. Some of them were discharged from the mission without any explanation after results came back. Some believe that they were using members of the SDF as human test subjects to see if they got infected or not. I think they were just checking up on the members' health condition since they were in the area where the gas disaster occurred. Besides, normal businessmen also take annual physical checkups, and they have their blood samples taken there as well. Yeah, I understand your point too. But I have another interesting theory. There are some people who believe that there was no gas emitted during the so-called Great Hinamizawa disaster. No volcanic gas? What does that mean? Basically what they're saying is that there was no volcanic gas and it was a sort of government cover-up. It's like in the Spielberg movie, you know? That one where humans make contact with UFOs? See, that's exactly how maniacs always explain things. What kind of basis do they have to say that there was no volcanic gas emission? Well, a bunch of those maniacs came to Hinamizawa as soon as the seal was lifted. According to them, the hydrogen sulfide in the volcanic gas should have caused some more corrosion to metallic objects and some major damage to the wildlife. However, they found no such signs of disruption, which led them to claim that there was no volcanic gas to begin with. But this village was abandoned for 20 years. I doubt that they could find anything anyway. Well, that's the thing with the internet. You can't believe everything you read on it. Akasaka-senpai, please don't tell me you're buying these stories. At first I didn't, but lately I'm beginning to think that there might be some truth to them. You believe in UFOs? Oh, come on! Well, what if this scrapbook is the real file number 34? Huh? This scrapbook is the one that Higurashi possessed when she took the school hostage on June 25th, 1983. It was assumed to be lost during the confusion of the disaster, but Oishi-san's old friend was able to locate it in an evidence storage at the prefectural police headquarters. Back then, Oishi thought Higurashi was delusional, but after reading this again after the Great Hinamizawa disaster, some of the content seemed to hold vital clues. It's not the alien part that he was interested in, but her theory that an endemic disease of parasitic microbes in Hinamizawa was responsible for the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Of course, there's no proof that such microbes existed, so it still remains at a theoretical level. Oishi-san says that the three families might have been researching how to bring back the original, deadlier microbe in order to revive the religious devotion the villagers used to have. The Great Hinamizawa disaster could be an experiment that went wrong. This theory is also based on the theories and myths he found on the internet. Fucking internet. The village clinic's chief doctor died mysteriously right before the Great Hinamizawa disaster. A girl, Fururerika, was brutally murdered on the night Higurashi took the school hostage. There could have been an underground research lab beneath the village clinic, and Dr. Irie could have been forced to do microbiological research, but he couldn't live with his own sins and committed unliving. Fururerika could have been brutally murdered in a sacrifice for some sort of ritual ceremony in the name of Oyashiro-sama's revival. However, their experiment went wrong. Instead of the microbes being parasitic in the villages, they became a killer virus. And they exterminated the entire village in one night. It's obvious that it wasn't a simple gas disaster. We cannot ignore the fact that one girl predicted a bioterrorist attack right before the disaster, and that several villagers died mysteriously, including Takanomiya herself, who wrote all about all that in the scrapbook. Doesn't sound right to say that the Great Hinamizawa disaster was an unpredicted and coincidental natural disaster. When you read this file number 34, it's obvious. So you're saying that the Great Hinamizawa disaster wasn't a rare natural disaster, but that it was in fact an act of bioterrorism by some cultists? Dude! In the modern era, everyone in Japan knows about the shocking incident where a doomsday cult created a nerve gas, sarin, and unleashed it for the purposes of mass murder. But in the 80s, the idea of a single cult being able to carry out such an act of terrorism didn't even cross our minds. Some also whisper that the SDF kept the area sealed for so long so they could study some lethal virus, but I'm not convinced. Ha 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 ha! At least this story sounds more convincing than the one with aliens and UFOs. The idea of cultists and domestic terrorism sounds more rational. Maybe there really was an UFO that crash landed. When Higurashi took the school hostage, one of her demands to the police was to have them pull out the wreckage of the UFO from the Onigafuchi swamp. That's ridiculous. Well, even if I wanted to make sure if it's ridiculous or not, look at it. The swamp is filled with concrete several meters thick, and there's no way we can check. This is all because of that ridiculous construction that doesn't even do anything to prevent the volcanic gas. Well then, the only way to prove Akasaka-senpai's theory would be to find a survivor of Hinamizawa and try to find that microbe in him or her. Sadly, that's almost impossible. After the Great Hinamizawa disaster, some survivors were subject to a witch hunt, so even if there are any survivors, they won't tell you that they're from this area. Right after the disaster, some people who were from Hinamizawa started displaying erratic behavior. When they started dying mysteriously and committing suicide in strange ways, people got scared of them and chased them out of their neighborhoods. The government was practically useless in protecting their privacy at the time, so the former residents of Hinamizawa lied about where they were from and have kept it that way since. In that case, it's a dead end. But it's my duty as a cop to keep trying. There's enough circumstantial evidence to say that the Great Hinamizawa disaster was not a natural one. If I could grab a hold of one piece of concrete proof, I think I could start reeling in the truth behind all of this. Well, good news. There's a literal concrete right in front of you, my friend. Ha ha! Yeah, but it's been over 20 years. The truth might be lying somewhere very deep in the darkness. Oh, dark, the darkness that dozes in the dusk. Throw it all away. No one can break you, nobody can dare you. You live an endless life forever. Sorry. That's true, I might not find any answers. It's already the 21st century. What happened in Hinamizawa in June 1983? The only factual evidence that I had was that Takano Mio mysteriously died and left her scrapbook predicting a bioterrorist attack. A young girl took a school hostage to make people listen to this prediction, but no one took it seriously. The chief doctor of the village clinic committed suicide. People believed that a little girl, Furure Rika, was a reincarnation of Yashiro-sama, and she was brutally murdered. What was the truth behind this scrapbook? Was it written to reveal a huge conspiracy? Or was it just a bunch of delusions written by an occult maniac? If the contents of this scrapbook were true, the disaster could have been avoided if we heeded the warnings of one girl. If they weren't true, then who created the disaster to follow the scenario of the scrapbook? It's witches! After the sarin nerve gas incident, the words mind control came into the spotlight. In contrast to brainwashing, which can easily force a person to commit certain acts in the short term, mind control takes a long term to gradually make a person believe that what he or she must do is the right thing to do and to act upon it as if it were his or her own idea. It's a form of character alteration, which is far more serious than brainwashing. What the fuck are you talking about? The cult behind the sarin gas incident induced fear and anxiety into its members through its revelations of doomsday. At the same time, they ordered them to do certain things as a means of salvation and had them do so voluntarily. The formula was quite similar to how Ryugu became a puppet of file number 34. So does that mean that Ryugu was mind-controlled by someone? Does that mean that the cult that mind-controlled her tried to cause the end of the world in order to increase the credibility of their teachings just like the other cult did? Would that make file number 34 some sort of religious textbook for them? When I lose my grip on what's true and what's not, sometimes make me feel that someone might be laughing in amusement at this disaster. The scrapbook was like a script. It was a script for a tragedy that takes the lives of thousands of villagers in one night. It was a script for demons who laugh at that loss of human life. Someone wrote this script. Someone performed it. Someone watched the show and laughed. Damn it! What the hell happened in Hinamizawa in June 1983? Da da da! Detective Tsumihoroboshi. Okay, now let's go to the staff page thingy. I guess we get to talk to Ryokishi again. Staff room. Hello, my name is Ryokishi0707. I hope you enjoyed playing Higurashi When They Cry, Whole, Chapter 6, Tsumihoroboshi. There are several themes I wanted to write in this chapter, but I'd like to talk about one of them here. Okay, buddy. I have a lot of thoughts about this one, so please, dude, go on. It's about the denial of murder. Okay, that's not any of the ones I care about, but okay. Let me hear what you have to say. This is something I had to write sooner or later, since this is a novel about serial murders. There are two means that youngsters in particular use these days to solve problems, which are murder and unlife. When we feel stress, we choose to either get rid of the source of the stress or to get away from it. Let's say you're bullied by a kid at school. You have two ways to solve the problem. You choose to either get rid of the kid from your current environment or to get away from the environment itself. Usually, bullies are stronger and have their underlings, so you don't stand a chance alone to get rid of them. It's also not easy to switch classes or to quit school, so you can't easily get away from the situation. As a result, the situation gets worse day by day, and your stress urges you to solve the problem immediately. And you come up with murder or unliving as easy solutions. If unliving is considered defeat, you'd want to consider murder. I feel like there are many people who think that way. Okay. However, if you actually committed an act, it wouldn't be easy to pay for the sin. I believe murderers know that well too. But you really hate the bully who pushed you to the limit where you have no choice but to kill him. So, with a determination that turns your entire life upside down, you commit murder. But you have such strong determination, there have to be more ways to take that than opting for murder, which should be the last resort. You can talk to your friends. If that doesn't work, you can talk to your family. If that doesn't work, you can talk to your teacher. If that doesn't work, then what? There have to be more ways. If you have the determination to give up on your life by committing that, there have to be more ways. Our modern era is better than any era before it. There are many hotlines that you can call to talk to someone. Even if you don't have any friends or family, there are many places you can go to for help. I mean, okay. The people who will answer the phone aren't amateurs. They're volunteers, but they're also veterans who have worked as social workers or juvenile counselors for a long time. I can assure you that they have more social experience and passion than your parents do. People who work to help people for free can't be bad people. I mean, alright, I'll give you that. If you feel like you have no choice but to bully or commit unlife, please try to call those hotlines. People who think it's useless to talk to others usually haven't really talked to anyone. Have the courage to call. There will be somebody you can completely rely on at the other end of the line. Don't keep it to yourself. Talk to somebody. Ryukishi wrote such a long story just to tell you this. He must be a very poor writer. So Ryukishi wants to talk to you all rather than worrying all by himself. How can I write even more entertaining stories? Bitter laugh. 7th expansion. Ryukishi 7. Oh, okay. Well, that happened. Now, was that everything? Like, I don't think I got like the platinum achievement thingy. So hold on. Oh wait, no, I did. So that is Tsumihoroboshi. Whew! What a fucking ride that was. Wow. All right. All right. Well.
Thank you.
Ha! You are welcome. Oh, that makes me happy to hear him. Let's just load this up so I can get mad. Grrr, mad. Fuck you, Rena. Anyway, man, no, I can't. I will get mad if I actually read it again. Anyway, so that was Tsumihoroboshi. This one definitely made me feel the most conflicted out of any of these. I mean, what I had to stop playing it twice. I think at least twice. Like, I was marathoning all of these like at the end of last year. Well, not even at the end of last year. I was just marathoning through, like plowing through these, and then I got so mad at this, I just legit dropped it, flat out dropped it for like months. Picked it up again and dropped it again. I'm glad I finished it, I will say. I got complicated feelings about it, to some parts of it. Like, I get that a lot of it was because Rena was suffering from, you know, the whole disease and whatnot, but at the same time, also, I'm gonna continue being mad at Rika and because we have what is it in retrospect now, and you know what? No one's gonna be able to stop me. She is a shitty girlfriend, and that's just the way it is. Justice for Stantoko, and you know, so on and so forth. I mean, yeah, that's. I don't know how soon I'll start. I'll probably, since my arm is like going to take forever to recover, I might even start chapter. Do I dare start now? Do I? Do I? No, I don't. Because I'll probably want to do a couple chapters of the next one. But yeah, that was Tsumihoroboshi. Mayakashi was way better, like way better. Mayakashi was way better than this, I will say. The highs of this one were definitely really high, but I think its lows were easily the lowest of all of Higurashi so far. Unless I count some of Sotsu, in which case, fine. But that's a cheap shot. And, yeah, that was Tsumihoroboshi, the end. It went on for a bit longer than I thought. The fight was epic. Like, I mean, they really were just, like, flirting by the end of it. I mean, you know, which is fine. I appreciate that as it went on, it got less serious and more looped back into, you know, being lighthearted and comedy. That's, you know, that's where Higurashi is really good for me. But yeah, God, has it really been a 7-hour stream? Jesus, I probably should wrap up soon. Whew, but you know, we got to celebrate since I put this off for so long and finally finished it. Like, what a trip that was. Fucking aliens, too. Fucking aliens, man! Aliens? Really, Nana? Aliens? Jesus Christ, aliens! Oh, man. That poor girl,